to mankind. Unfortunately, most people do not seem to realize this fact, and therefore they go blithely on their way as though nothing had changed. I'm reminded of the story told by Friedrich Nietzsche, the great atheist of the 19th century, who proclaimed the death of God. Nietzsche tells the story of a madman who in the early morning hours burst into the marketplace, lantern in hand, crying, "I seek God! I seek God!" And since many of those standing about didn't believe in God, he provoked much laughter. "Maybe God has gone on a voyage or emigrated," they laughed. And so they taunted him and mocked him. And then, writes Nietzsche, the madman turned in their midst and pierced them with his eyes. "Whither is God?" he cried. "I shall tell you. We have killed him, you and I. All of us are his murderers. But how have we done this? How were we able to drink up the sea? Who gave us the sponge to wipe away the entire horizon? What did we do when we unchained this earth from its sun? Whither is it moving now? Away from all suns? Are we not plunging continually, backward, sideward, forward, in all directions? Is there any up or down left? Are we not straying as through an infinite nothing? Do we not feel the breath of empty space has not become colder? Is not night and more night coming on all the while? Must not lanterns be lit in the morning? Do we not hear anything yet of the noise of the grave diggers who are burying God? God is dead, and we have killed him. How shall we, the murderers of all murderers, comfort ourselves? The crowd stared at the madman in silence and astonishment. And at last, he smashed his lantern to the ground. "I have come too early," he said. "This tremendous event is still on its way. It has not yet reached the ears of men." You see, men did not truly comprehend what they had done in killing God. But Nietzsche predicted that someday people would realize the consequences of atheism. And this realization would usher in an age of nihilism. That is to say, the destruction of all meaning and value in life. The end of Christianity, wrote Nietzsche, means the advent of nihilism. This most gruesome of guests is standing already at the door. Our whole European culture is moving for some time now, wrote Nietzsche, with a tortured tension that is growing from decade to decade as toward a catastrophe, restlessly, violently, headlong, like a river that wants to reach its end, that no longer reflects, that is afraid to reflect. Most people still do not reflect upon the consequences of secular atheism, and therefore, like the crowd in the marketplace, go unknowingly on their way. But when we realize, as Nietzsche did, the consequences of what atheism implies, and when we stare atheism unflinchingly in the face, as Nietzsche had the courage to do, then his question presses hard upon us. How shall we, the murderers of all murderers, comfort ourselves? Well, it seems to me that confronted with this predicament, we have basically three alternatives. Number one, commit suicide. Faced with the absurdity of life, one should simply end it now. Camus considered suicide to be the only serious philosophical question. Is it worth it to go on living? And sometimes we hear of people who answer no. In the United States, the leading cause of death among teenagers today is suicide. But for most of us, suicide is not the answer. The pleasures that life does afford and the fear of the unknown compel us to go on living.